Something strange is being suggested about humanity's relationship with the cosmos. Not that extraterrestrial contact will suddenly begin one day in the distant future, but that it may already be beginning, quietly, gradually, and almost invisibly. A recent message circulating within the spiritual and extraterrestrial contact community makes a striking claim. Contact is accelerating. According to this narrative, humanity is approaching a completely new stage in its relationship with intelligent life beyond Earth. But there is an important detail. The first stage may not involve enormous spacecraft appearing above major cities. There may be no worldwide announcement, no dramatic landing broadcast across every television network. Instead, the process is said to begin much more quietly, through individuals, through unusual experiences, through sightings, through dreams, synchronicities, unexplained encounters, and moments that some people interpret as communication. Thousands of small events preparing humanity for something much larger. And if this idea is true, then perhaps the most important question is not whether contact will happen. The question is, why would it be accelerating now? For decades, popular culture has taught us to imagine extraterrestrial contact as a single dramatic event. A spacecraft lands, the doors open, humanity watches, history changes overnight. But the contact is accelerating narrative proposes something very different. It suggests that open contact may be the final stage of a much longer process. Before humanity experiences a collective encounter, countless smaller encounters could supposedly occur first. One person sees something impossible in the sky. Another experiences something they interpret as telepathic communication. Someone else repeatedly dreams about unfamiliar beings or places. Others begin questioning whether humanity is truly alone. Individually, none of these experiences proves extraterrestrial contact. But within this belief system, they are interpreted as preparation, a slow psychological introduction to a reality that could otherwise be overwhelming. Instead of opening the door immediately, the idea is that someone is knocking first. But why would this supposed acceleration be happening now? The message offers an unusual explanation. Humanity itself is changing. According to the narrative, contact is not determined only by technological development. It is connected to consciousness. For most of human history, something appearing from another world might have been interpreted as a god, a demon, an angel, or an invading force. Even today, undeniable proof of another intelligent civilization could challenge some of our deepest assumptions. Religion, politics, science, human identity, even our understanding of our place in the universe. The theory suggests that humanity needed time to become psychologically capable of facing such a discovery. And perhaps that preparation has already been happening. For generations, humans have imagined extraterrestrial civilizations through books, films, television, science, and speculation. The possibility of life beyond Earth is no longer an unimaginable idea. It has become part of human culture. And supporters of the contact narrative ask a provocative question. What if that cultural transformation was part of the preparation? There may be another obstacle. Fear. Imagine tomorrow morning humanity receives undeniable evidence that an advanced non-human civilization exists. Not bacteria, not a distant signal. Intelligent beings, technologically superior to us. How would humanity react? Curiosity? Excitement? Or panic? The contact is accelerating narrative argues that fear is one of the greatest barriers between humanity and open contact. If an unfamiliar civilization suddenly appeared without preparation, people might automatically interpret it as a threat. Governments could react defensively. Religious communities could struggle with the implications. Markets could become unstable. And ordinary people might have difficulty processing a reality that completely changes humanity's place in the cosmos. This is why, according to the narrative, contact would need to happen gradually. Not because humanity is being ignored, but because humanity may be being prepared. And this is where the story becomes much stranger. Because if contact is gradual, what would the early stages actually look like? According to the narrative, they may be extremely subtle. An unusual object appearing briefly in the sky. A powerful dream involving beings that feel strangely real. A sudden intuitive message. A moment of missing time. An unexplained light. a feeling of being observed, or an experience that seems deeply personal and almost impossible to communicate to another person. There is an important distinction here. Experiences like these are not scientific proof of extraterrestrial contact. Many could have ordinary psychological, astronomical, neurological, or environmental explanations, but believers interpret the growing collection of personal experiences differently. They believe humanity may already be experiencing the earliest stages of contact, one person at a time. If that interpretation were correct, then disclosure would not begin at a government podium. It would begin inside human experience itself. For years, people waiting for disclosure have looked toward governments. They expect classified documents to be released, military officials to speak publicly, scientists to announce a discovery, or political leaders to finally admit that humanity is not alone. But what if that expectation is backwards? The contact as accelerating narrative suggests something far more unusual. Perhaps governments are not supposed to introduce humanity to extraterrestrial intelligence. Perhaps humanity encounters the phenomenon first, and institutions acknowledge it later. In that scenario, disclosure would not be a single announcement. It would be a process. More sightings, more witnesses, more conversations, more scientific investigation, more people becoming comfortable with the possibility, until eventually the idea that humanity might share the universe with other intelligence no longer feels impossible. And only then could something larger happen, not because someone finally decided to reveal the truth, but because society had reached a point where the truth, whatever it may be, could finally be confronted. But this is where we need to separate the story from what we can actually prove. There is currently no verified scientific evidence demonstrating that extraterrestrial civilizations are communicating with humanity. NASA states that it has not found credible evidence of extraterrestrial life, and it says there is currently no evidence showing that unidentified anomalous phenomena are extraterrestrial. That does not mean every unexplained observation has been solved. It means unexplained is not the same thing as extraterrestrial. NASA has studied UAP from a scientific perspective precisely because some observations remain difficult to identify with the available data, and that distinction matters. A mystery can be real without our explanation for that mystery being correct. So claims about telepathic contact, galactic federations, consciousness-based communication, or organized extraterrestrial preparation should currently be understood as beliefs and interpretations rather than established scientific facts. But science itself continues asking the larger question: is there life beyond Earth? And that question remains open. And perhaps this is where the mystery becomes genuinely interesting. Forget the predictions for a moment. Forget the channelings. Forget the stories about galactic federations. There is still a profound question underneath all of it. If intelligent extraterrestrial life exists, what would first contact actually look like? Would it really happen in a single afternoon? Or would humanity slowly approach it over decades? First discovering thousands of planets, then identifying potentially habitable worlds, then detecting unusual signals, then discovering possible biosignatures, and perhaps eventually finding evidence of technology. Maybe contact, if it ever happens, will not resemble the movies at all. Perhaps the greatest transformation will happen before we ever meet another civilization. The moment humanity truly accepts that it may not be the only intelligence looking into the darkness. So, is contact really accelerating? At the moment, we cannot say that scientifically. The extraordinary claims remain unverified, but the idea raises a fascinating possibility. Perhaps humanity's first encounter with another intelligence would not begin with spacecraft. Perhaps it would begin with questions. Questions that slowly change the way civilization sees itself. Are we alone? What would another intelligence think of us? Would we fear them? Would they fear us? And most importantly, are we psychologically prepared to discover that the universe does not belong to humanity alone? Maybe nothing is approaching Earth. Maybe the stories are simply stories. But if one day undeniable evidence does arrive, humanity will face a moment unlike anything in its history. And perhaps the strangest question will not be, who are they? It will be, how long have we been preparing to meet them? Until that day, the mystery remains. Some believe contact has already begun. Others believe humanity is interpreting ordinary mysteries through an extraterrestrial lens, and science continues searching for evidence. 3 completely different ways of looking at the same universe. But somewhere beyond Earth, billions of worlds continue orbiting their stars. And if even one of those worlds produced another technological civilization, then somewhere, perhaps another intelligence is asking exactly the same question we are. Are we alone? This is the crystal mind. We listen to the story first. Then we search for what may actually be hiding behind it.